Welcome to the VectorVest Special Report, this week titled, And They're Off. The Worry-Free Investing Challenge begins. The live trading phase of our portfolio competition began this week and runs through the end of July. Race conditions were unfavorable in the falling market, but we still had several portfolios eke out positive returns, so let's review the best performers and some of their ideas. We'll use our portfolio score sheet to identify the best performing entries. We'll look for the best total gain, the best portfolio score, and the best efficiency score. We'll begin by opening our browser and going to the Worry-Free Investing Challenge scoreboard. To get to the score sheet, we'll go to the web address www.vectorvest.com/worry-free challenge. This link to the scoreboard is provided in the VectorVest views. If you've been with us for previous contests, this score sheet should look fairly familiar, although we have added some more data fields that are involved in the production of our portfolio score. We can sort the score sheet by each of these columns. By default, we'll sort it by the portfolio score, so that's a nice place to start. We are after the market close on Friday the 6th, but in live market action, you can hit the refresh button to update the performance data intraday. With our default sort by score, we see that LC is the leading entrant. Overall gain of 1.79%. 0.33% of that today, with 44% winners. Annualized rate of return 130.56. Compounded rate of return 264.75%. Now remember, we're taking 5 days of performance and annualizing that. So those numbers normally will come down as we get more and more data into the portfolio. Additionally, we have a very small drawdown of 0.16%, which gives us an efficiency score of 44.37, a CalMAR ratio of 16.67. We take the square root of that to derive our score. So remember, the scores are relative. The important part is the prize money goes to the highest relative score. Next to the data points, we have two icons. The first icon gives you the details of that portfolio. Their timing signal, the current situation, their performance metrics, their current stop criteria, and the active search and its search criteria. Below we have the current holdings of the portfolio and of course the equity curve of the portfolio since the contest began. So that's the overview of the score sheet tool, but to review these trading systems, let's go back into VectorVest and begin with the original backtest as submitted. In the backtester, we see LC's entry. We see we had a $1.266 million total valuation, which was achieved with a 35.5% winning trade percentage, an annualized rate of return of 62%, with a maximum drawdown of 26.5%. Looking at the equity curve, that translated into a pretty smooth price action, with the big dips in market performance moving into 2003 and into 2008, fairly minimal on this backtest. We also note that in the current time frame, it did start suffering a little bit at the end of the test period. Let's go take a look at the search details. As we review the search parameters for LC's search, we want you to think of these search parameters as expressions of an idea. For instance, our very first line, we're looking for the stock's price to be reaching a new 52-week high. End of week data simply means we're looking at Fridays. So a new 52-week high based on the Friday price. Our next line looks for a stock that 1 week ago was operating in a channel, a price channel, 100 days long, 50% in height between the low and the high of the channel. Next, we have an average volume requirement of 100,000 shares. That's part of the requirements of the contest. Next, we're looking for the stock that's breaking out that channel on a 52-week high to have volume 200% in excess of its average volume. So not only a breakout on price, but also a breakout on increased volume. Stock watch list. LC simply selected all of the ETF watch lists to try to eliminate the ETFs. The better way, I think, to do that would be to just eliminate the ETF sector. We added that to the bottom of the search. Next, we have a stock price split adjusted greater than 1, which could, in a backtest, eliminate any stocks who, through price splits, had driven their historical price below 1. We corrected that for the backtest by adding a stock price actual greater than 1 for the historical test. And of course, in real live trading, the split adjusted price and today's price would be the same. Next, we have a custom parameter, stock range divided by actual price. So we're looking for the ratio of the stock's range, the distance between its high and its low for the day, and its actual or closing price. And LC wanted that relationship to be less than or equal to 8. So he doesn't want the range to be more than 8 times the actual price. Next, we're looking for an RV value, a relative value greater than or equal to 0.5. And that works in concert with our next custom parameter, CI divided by RV. Now, these numerical values are part of our programming language that are just tagging, if you will, identifying those custom indicators. So we're looking for the stock CI divided by RV. And remember, whatever's in the numerator will be higher, whatever's in the denominator will be lower on a descending sort. So we want that number to be less than 3. So the way these interplay, we want the RV value to be above 0.5, but we don't want the CI value to be more than 3 times that RV value. Next, we want the price to be a year ago more than $1 on a split adjusted basis. And then, of course, our default price and sector filters for the search requirements. All of that, of course, sorted by RS descending. Now let's move back to the backtester and see how LC put this together into his trading plan. Clicking the Edit button. In the Customize the Trading System, we see we're using confirmed calls. Using our LC long search, we're going to use a trading stop. This stop, for some of you old hands, you may remember, it's a stop criteria that will be met if a stock's price drops by at least the specified percent from its purchase price, or if it drops by that percentage on a single day. So we have the trading stop at 10%. And on the more settings, we're going to try to maintain 10 positions, automatically replacing them on confirmed calls, remember. But we're going to step in 2 positions at a time, max on any given day. We're going to hold the positions through the close and the subsequent retriggering of the confirmed call by not closing anything. So we're going to try to hold through the downdrafts. We'll invest the average value, odd lots. We'll try to not repurchase the same stock. And we're going to limit ourselves to 2 stocks per industry, 2% of the stock's average volume. There's the trading plan. Let's go back to the scorecard now and find our contestant with the highest gain. We'll sort by overall gain. And lo and behold, LC is also at the top of the list for that category. So we'll move on to AKN, who's in second place, to cover some new territory. The first thing I'd have you notice is that our second, third, and fourth place contestants all have the same portfolio score. Well, that's because, as we'll discover, they have very similar searches, although not exactly the same. The thing they had in common was that all of their searches looked for stocks, of course, sorted by RS descending, but they all looked for stocks with a hold rating. AKN had the additional requirement of an RS value above 1.4, but that wasn't enough to differentiate the search results, as each of the 3 contestants found the same 10 stocks, and so their portfolios performing currently at the same value, although we can see that their search details do vary. So while there's a lot of overlap for these three contestants, we'll focus on AKN just because they're at the top of the list and we're going alphabetical, I suppose. So here we see the overall gain was 1.61%. We have 80% winners. We have an annualized rate of return in excess of 117%. Compounded, that's over 221%. A little bit deeper drawdown than we saw with LC at 0.59, a little over 0.5%. But a nice efficiency score at 79.5, and of course their portfolio score at 1827.14. So let's go take a look at that search detail. Here's AKN's entry. Just missed that $1 million mark at 905,500. 53% winners. Annualized rate of return of 40.75%. Compounded at 11.75 with a maximum drawdown of 23.19%. Again, a nice equity curve, avoiding those big drawdowns of the bear markets of 2003 and 2009. And also continuing to perform right up to the end of the test period. Let's take a look again at those search parameters. First, we notice a little less complex than LC's search parameters. We're looking for our search defaults here of price, actual, and average volumes. We have our stock exchange filters filtering out some of the minor exchanges. Here we see a recommendation equals hold, and RS needs to be greater than or equal to 1.4. And of course, we eliminated by default the ETF sector. So that's pretty straightforward. Let's go take a look at our trade rules. We'll be trading on confirmed calls. When we get that confirmed call, we'll use a recommendation equals sell stop loss. We'll buy 10 positions, automatically replacing those. No limit on how to buy on any single purchase. Hold our positions open through the timing signals. Invest the average portfolio value with odd lots. Hold on to those positions. And again, 2 stocks per industry, 2% of the stock's average volume. And finally, let's go find the contestant who had the highest efficiency score. We'll sort our score sheet by efficiency. And the idea here is that we have overall gain is one aspect of the performance that we're interested in. Efficiency says, well, aside from the gain, how consistent does this portfolio perform by virtue of the winning trade percentage and the max drawdown? And then finally, our portfolio score balances those two concepts into consistency and good performance. So our most efficient portfolio entry, GLF, a little bit lower gain here, up about 0.5%, but 100% winners. A drawdown of just 0.13 still attains an average rate, an annualized rate of return of 42%, and a portfolio score of 830. Let's go see how they did it. On their back test, we see GLF had some very nice performance, gaining $2.5 million on that initial investment of $100,000, maintaining 46.5% winners. The annualized rate of return, 130.37%, with a max drawdown still at a respectable 25%. Looking at the equity curve here, and again, another nice smooth curve, resilient to those pull downs of the bearish market action, although again falling off a little bit in the most current period. Let's take a look at their search detail. GLF search, of course, begins with that RS descending sort that was required, along with our minimum requirements of our $1 price actual and 100,000 shares of average volume. Also our common filtering of the minor exchanges. We've eliminated all of our ETFs in the sector. And now we get to the meat and potatoes. We're looking for stocks that have a growth rate, an earnings growth rate, greater than or equal to the stock's price. That's a little unusual. Comfort index greater than or equal to 1. The stock's relative timing value to be trending higher over 1 week. The relative value to be greater than or equal to 0.90. Relative safety greater than or equal to 1. And a VST score greater than or equal to 1.10. Now to the trade plan. We'll be trading the confirmed calls. On those calls, we'll run our search with a recommendation equals sell stop criteria. We'll trade 10 stocks, automatically replacing them, jumping in all 10 at a time. Hold through the timing signals. We'll invest the average value and add lots as required, holding on to those stocks or not repurchasing those stocks, and limiting them to 2 stocks per industry and 2% of the stock's average value. Interesting to note, with that fairly restrictive search requirement, we see that currently the portfolio has only found 1 stock. So lots of interesting approaches in the Worry-Free Investing Challenge. Maybe you saw some ideas that you'd like to incorporate into your own trading plan. But of course, we're just getting started, and we'll go deeper and deeper into the list as the contest progresses. But for now, that'll conclude our special presentation for this week. I invite you to follow along with the challenge using our score sheet, and we'll see not only who comes out ahead to win the big prize money, but also some investing ideas you might be able to use for your own personal success. Until next time, have a great evening.